Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic on another filthy day here in the UK. It is raining cats and dogs outside and absolutely freezing, but I'm going to cheer myself up by trying a puzzle by blackjackfitz called Rellik Loop. And this is a puzzle I mentioned yesterday in Dorlear's puzzle. There was a very long video yesterday, an hour and 45 minutes doing battle with an absolutely brilliant but monstrously hard puzzle from Dorlear. But in the birthdays yesterday, I said happy birthday to Brian, whose wife, I think Sarah, had written to us and said that Brian was constructing now under the pseudonym blackjackfitz. And I'd remembered that we'd had a submission, or not a submission, we'd had a recommendation to try a blackjackfitz puzzle. And I followed up with the testers, and the testers said, yes, it's a really brilliant puzzle. So this is what I'm going to try today. And it's I do remember the relic rule. I've done a puzzle with the relic rule before. It's an odd one, but I'll read the rules of this one in a moment or two's time. We have to basically build a loop in the grid, which the eagle-eyed amongst you won't be surprised by, given the name of the puzzle is Rellik Loop. But that is what we have to do. And it's got a 99% approval rating on Logic Masters Germany. So this is going to be great. And I don't have much news for you today. We've finished, well, I think we've finished. I've certainly finished my recordings for the Riff Clown solution videos for Riff Clown's Sudoku Hunt, which was our February competition over on Patreon. So they're going to go up very soon for those of you who want to take a look at the solution videos. We are also going to be putting up in a few days' time my 3.5-hour magnum opus battle with Emre Kalotoglu's region geometry puzzle. That is I admire anybody who wants to join me and have that adventure with me. It is an absolutely brilliant puzzle, but so hard I cannot tell you. Then other news. I've got birthdays to do today, actually. Let me do those. So let's start with Holden. Holden, it's your birthday, and I know this because your girlfriend Emily wrote to us and said that you enjoy the videos, especially to sort of de-stress. I think we all recognise that. I mean, I feel when I record the videos that I de-stress, because I think there is something cathartic about solving a puzzle. You just take yourself away from real life for a few moments. You can bask in an area where you know logic fully applies. And in the real world, sometimes it doesn't feel like that. So, Holden, I get the feelings that you might have, and I hope you have a brilliant birthday today with cake, of course, chocolate cake. Jimmy, you've turned 20 today, and I know this because your sister Lucy wrote to us. And I think, Jimmy, you're studying at Swansea University at the moment. But you both like to watch. And Lucy, I am told, is fixing the chocolate cake for you today. So fantastic. Jimmy, happy birthday. Next, Julia. Julia is turning 6. We have such young viewers. It is absolutely brilliant. And Julia, I know this because your dad Colby wrote to us. And I think you're in South Korea at the moment, which is a country I've never been to, but I would love to go to. I'm obviously, if you know anything about my life other than Sudoku, you will know I'm a huge fan of video games, and especially StarCraft 2, and I am in awe of the South Korean video game scene. So it's a place I'd love to visit. Anyway, I'm getting distracted, but Julia, I know that you are already good at solving 4x4 Sudoku puzzles. This is mad, isn't it? And us thinking about setting your own puzzles. Well, Julia, many happy returns. I hope you have an absolutely brilliant birthday. I hope you have great cake, and keep enjoying Sudoku, won't you? Because I think that you might have a stellar future if you keep on working on these puzzles. Now, Misty. It's Misty's birthday today, and Misty is a little bit older than 6. Misty is 40, the big 40, and I know this because your husband Nathaniel wrote to us. And I wasn't sure what to make of this, Misty, but Nathaniel told us that you were training for a 100-mile race. and that recently, I think it was last week, you did a 100-kilometre race and had a 6-layer chocolate cake to celebrate. Well, that is some recompense, I suppose. But I wasn't sure whether a 100-mile race, it can't be, I presume it's not a running race. It can't be a running race, can it? I know that there are people who do those mad running races that are sort of, what is it called, ultra marathons. Is that 100 miles? I don't know. But it might be a bike race, I suppose. But I'm in the dark, Misty. But anyway, I hope you win the race, of course. Good luck with that, and many happy returns on your 40th birthday. And then finally, Paul, it's your birthday today, and I know this because your husband Michael wrote to us and said that you will always give a video a thumbs up if it has a guitar intro. I don't know if I can do a guitar intro today. I've been noodling around Stick Season. I do like that song very much, so you might hear that at some point, but I don't know if it'll be today. But Paul, many happy returns, and thank you for watching the channel. Now, let's turn our attention to blackjackfitz's debut on the channel and Rellik Loop. These are the rules. Got these pretty purple diamonds in this. Normal Sudoku rules apply. So we've got the digits 1 to 9 once each in every row, every column, and in every 3x3 box. Digits in the killer cages must sum to the total in the top left-hand corner of the cage. Okay, so we don't need a rule about digits not being able to repeat within a cage, because actually all of these cages live within individual Sudoku boxes, so normal Sudoku boxes or normal Sudoku rules prevent there from being a repeated digit in any of these cages. And then digits separated by a black dot are in a 1:2 ratio, which means one of the digits will be double the other. So imagine this square here was a 2, this square here will now either have to be 4 because 4 is double 2, or 1 because 2 is double 1. That's how black dots work. And digits separated by a white dot are consecutive. I can only see one of those. There might be another one, but I can only see one. So that these are consecutive. So if this square was a 2, this would have to be a 1 or a 3 to obey that rule. Then we've got, now this is the complicated part of the rules. We've got a Rellik Loop. Rellik, of course, being the reversal of the word killer. We have to draw a single closed loop that moves orthogonally through the centers of cells and does not branch, overlap, or touch itself, not even diagonally. So in drawing our loop, what we couldn't do is something like this. That is not going to work, because this, although it looks superficially like a loop, indeed it is a loop. You can see the loop has touched itself diagonally at this point, and that's not going to be permissible. So what we could do, I guess, is that to correct the loop. Now, all of the purple diamond relics are on the loop. Okay, so we're going to get given some loop cells straight away. The loop creates a set of relic cages, where every discrete set of orthogonally connected digits within a single box is considered a relic cage. In a relic cage, any combination of one or more digits cannot sum to the relic cage value. A relic cage value is equal to the number of cells in the relic cage. If the loop passes through a box multiple times, each individual segment is its own relic cage. E.g., a 6-cell relic cage. So let's just draw in. Let's just draw in a loop. I mean, this loop isn't going to be right because I've missed out loads of cells, but I wanted to get a 6-cell cage in so that I could talk about how this rule would work. A 6-cell relic cage may not contain 1, 2, 3, 1, 5, 2, 4, or A6. Okay, so I do actually sort of understand this rule, but I would totally understand if you're new to relic cages, you might think, no, this sounds completely crazy, but I think it's easier than it sounds. So basically, we draw a loop in the grid, and then we look at how many cells are on the loop in each 3x3 box. So this box has 5 cells on the Rellik Loop. This has 3. This has 5. This has 5. This has 6. This one has a 2-cell set and a 3-cell set, and they count separately. And then what we must do, so if you like, the relic cage value for this is 6, because there are 6 cells on the loop as a unit within this box. And therefore in this section we couldn't include the digits 1, 2 and 3, for example, because you can find a combination of 1, 2 and 3, i.e. if you add them all up, which equals the relic cage value of 6. So it's like anti-killer. You can't put 1 and 5 in here, because 1 and 5 can be made to add up to 6. You can't even just put a plain old 6 in here, because 6 obviously is equal to 6. And you can't put 2 and 4 in, because 2 and 4 add to 6. So if this was... So actually, is it even possible to have a 6-cell cage is my next question. Let's actually think about that. So, well, you can't put a 6 in. That's the first thing we could deduce. You could certainly put 7s, 8s and 9s in. So let's put 7s, 8s and 9s in, because they are unrestricted. You could put 1 of 2 and 4 in. So let's put 4 in, because if we put 4 in, then we can hide a 2 over here. And now that puts less pressure in terms of 1s, 3s and 5s. So this can't be a 1-5 pair, can it? So couldn't we do 3 and 1, for example, and make this a 2, 5, 6 triple? I'm just trying to play around with this to see if this works. This might not work, but that's just what I'm trying to do. There's no combination of 7, 8, 9, 4, 3 and 1 that sum to 6. You can't use the 1 twice and create 2 or something like that. So yeah, okay, so we can have a 6-cell sequence in a box, we've discovered. But I hope that's clear. I sort of understand it, but I think that's probably because I've done a relic puzzle before. Do have a go though. The way to play is to click the link under the video. It's just, I think it's 3 stars out of 5 for difficulty, so it ought to be approachable. But now I get to play. Let's get cracking. I can immediately see a 6 cage that must be 1, 2 and 3. No, there must be a 1 in an 8 cage. There must be a 9 in a 22 cage. You can see that for reasons. If you think about 8, 7 and 6, they only add up to 21. But presumably actually what I'm meant to do is just... Oh, I can do that. I could just highlight all of the relic cage cells, or whatever they're called. What were they called? They're just called relics. I can highlight all of the relics, and these are all on the loop. Right, so this square is a corner of the loop, so the loop must go to those squares, and then it can't go here, because if it went there, the loop would be touching itself orthogonally in these 2 positions. So we're going to have a non-loop colour, maybe grey. I'm just trying to think of what contrasts best with purple. I would have said it was going to be grey or green. Looks a bit garish actually. I think I'm going to go for grey, and I hope that that's okay. So it's a loop, so it must extend in both directions. Right. Okay. Oh, I see. Right, I can use the secret to get this digit. I was looking around thinking, well, how do you actually do anything? But there is a secret that I know about Sudoku that I share with only my very favourite people. But if you're watching this video, of course you're one of my favourite people. The secret is that any complete box of a Sudoku, indeed any complete row or any complete column, because of the rules of Sudoku, will contain the digits 1 to 9 once each. So we can add up the digits 1 to 9 and get 45, and that is the secret. This box's digits will add to 45, but those cage cells add up to 8, and these cage cells add up to 32, and that means that those 8 cells add up to 40. So if the whole box adds to 45, this digit is a 5. And that does things, because now my 8 cage is not the 1, 2, 5 variation, so it's 1, 3, 4. Oh, No. All right. Well, yes. When I say oh no, I actually mean yes. Bad brain, naughty brain. But what I've just noticed is that this at the moment is 5 cells of rellikness. But it can't only be 5 cells of rellikness. So the rellik thing can't go like that now. Because if it did, this rellik cage would have a 5 in it, and it's not allowed to. So this has got to be, this has got to grow. Now, what does that mean? The answer to that is I'm not sure immediately. I was thinking of saying it had to be a 6-cell cage, but I'm not actually sure that's true. Because why couldn't it be that, for example? And be a 7-cell cage? Or even that is probably just as good an example. Okay, that doesn't work as a 7-cell cage because that would have a 3 and a 4 in it, and 3 and 4 add to 7. But that, you'd have to put, that would have, okay, no, you don't, there's no such thing in this puzzle, I'm now going to allege, as a 7-cell rellik cage. And right, okay, the reason I think that must be right is if there was such a thing as a 7-cell rellik cage, what digits would we make the 2 digits that were not in the cage? Well, one of them would have to be 7 itself, but then the other one, you'd have to prevent the sort of 7 dominoes, as I think of them. You'd have to prevent 1 and 6, 2 and 5, 3 and 4 being in the rellik cage, and although you could prevent one of those from being in by this digit being, for example, if that digit was a 1, that allows 6 now to go in the rellik cage. You can't keep 2 and 5 out and 3 and 4 out if you've only got 1 digit to play with. Right, so that's going to be crucial, isn't it? Well, at least, right, well, it is a bit crucial because now I know that this is a 6-cell cage. Right, this is lovely actually, this is really clever. So that means these are definitely in the cage, so they can't be 1. Because if either of these was a 1, the cage would have a 5 in it and a 1, which would add to 6, which is how many thingies that this rellik cage has in this box. So these are not 1. This is a 1 and therefore can't be in the cage, so that's out. And this must be bigger than 5, so it must be 6, and we know it can't be 7, so that is out. And this is a corner of the loop now, so the loop goes here. That can't be reached by the loop because the loop would have touched itself. So this is out. This is an extension of the loop on the left-hand side. Good grief, this is really, really cool. Now, right, these 2 digits, we know what they are. And we know what they are because this is 6 cells. So there must be no combination of the digits that are left in the rellik cage that sum to 6. So 6 itself must live in one of these squares. But also 2 can't be in the rellik cage because 4 is in the rellik cage. So these are a 2-6 pair, I think. Which means these squares are, I want to say 7, 8, and 9. Okay, and now we can ask where 9 goes in row 3, because it's not in these squares because it lives in the 22 cage, so it's over here somewhere. Okay, I can see one thing and it's nothing to do with rellik cages. I might go to that, hang on. Oh, I've seen something else now, and that is more to do with rellik cages. That square is not in a rellik cage. Because if that square was purple, it would be a corner, and those two squares would be in, wouldn't they? And that's going to cause all sorts of jiggery-pokery to occur in this box. We're certainly not going to have a loop. We're going to have something very strange. So that square is grey. Oh, I can't say. I'm going to go to the thing I saw first, which is this black dot. So this black dot, look, hasn't got 3 or 4 on it. So it doesn't have 8 on it either, this black dot. And it's not a 2-4 pair. So I think the only thing it can be is a 1-2 pair. Now, how do I get to that deduction quickly? Well, it's because I'm very familiar with what black dots contain in Sudoku, or can contain. So that 5, 7 and 9 can never go on a black dot, because if you try and double or halve those digits, you won't get Sudoku digits. So the only black dot digits that exist are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 and 8. But the 3, 6 pairs obviously ruled out of here. The 4, 8 pairs obviously ruled out of here. And the 2, 4 pair also gets ruled out. So this is a 1, 2 pair. That seems to me to be making it hard, but not actually impossible for this to be a relic thing. Because if this is a relic thing, we couldn't then exit the box, could we? Because these squares would add up to 3, and that would be the correct relic total for this. So if this is in, this would have to, it would have to do that. There's got to be a 1 over here by Sudoku. I've got a feeling I'm missing something incredibly obvious about this box. I'm so sorry, I don't know what it is. Oh, there we go, there's another thing. I've got a 1, 2, 3 triple in row 5 now. So this has got to be 4, 8. That's the only black dot combination left that works. So what does that do? The 3 in row 5, in the 1, 2, 3 triple, the 3 is in this domino, so that square's not a 3. I mean, one way of thinking about it is that these two squares are obviously the same digit. Oh, that's a corner. Right, sorry. Let's take the low-hanging fruit. There's a corner up here, which I hadn't really focused on at all. So we're going to be able to extend this thing as well. Well, okay. Okay, right, I've got something. The 22 cage is not, there are 2 variations of 22 cage in Sudoku. There's 5, 8, 9 and 6, 7, 9. Well, if this was 5, 8, 9, because of this 5, that would be 5 and this would be an 8, 9 pair. And that's broken row 1, look. Because those 4 digits would, those 4 cells could only contain 3 different digits, necessitating a repeat. And that will break the rules of Sudoku. So, what that tells us then is this is 6, 7, 9. And what that tells us is that this, this is a 7, 9 pair. So the way I'm seeing that is that you can see in this quadruple in the top row, the 6 is in this domino, and the 8 is in this domino. So these become the same digit. Well, these have the only options of being 7 and 9. These squares are all they're very low digits, aren't they? These are all 1, 2s, 3s and 4s. Right. And I can see that's doing something to the relic value here. It's really interesting, this. So, right, what I'm seeing is this is not a there aren't only 5 relic cells in this sequence. And the reason I'm saying that is that if that was right, well, I'm thinking about what digit is missing from this triple. And whatever I miss, I'm going to be left with a pair that add up to 5, aren't I? So let's think, if I miss the 1 out, then these contain 2 and 3. They add up to 5. If I miss the 2 out, they contain 1 and 4. If I miss the 3 out, they contain 1 and 4. If I miss the 4 out, they contain 2 and 3. So there is no way that this sequence is the entirety of the sequence. So it's at least 6. In fact, and does it have the problem? Didn't we conclude over here? You can't have 7. This cannot be 7. But we've done that logic already. So this is a 6-cell sequence, which means either this or this complete the sequence. And it means, right, it means these squares don't include 2 and 4. Because if these included 2 and 4, they would add up to 6. So this square is 2 or 4. And it doesn't matter, does it, if it's on the C? It doesn't matter if it's purple, because it doesn't count for how this box works. But okay, but if this was 1, 2, 3, that would also break. Because 1, 2 and 3 add up to 6. Right, so this is... I need to knock the 2 out, don't I? So this square is 2. These squares are 1, 3 and 4. And that means... one of these squares is a 6, because we can't put 6 in the purple. We can't put 5 in the purple either, because we have got 1 in the purple. Which which probably does something. Goodness me, this is tricky actually. Sorry, I realise I've just stopped talking. I'm trying to see in which direction I'm meant to extend this sort of V pentomino that I've got living in box 3. So it could go to there, in which case that becomes purple. Or it could go to here, in which case that becomes purple, because we can't have the purple thing. The purple loop is not allowed to touch itself, so it can't. Well, and also that would be a 7-cell sequence. Is there some other implication here? These squares, they have to not be 1. Can they be? No, they can't include 2, can they? Because that's going to give me exactly the same problem. So these squares have to include 2 as well. So in fact, these digits are massive digits. They are from 7, 8, and 9 only. Oh, and that's a naked single. Oh, God. Sudoku rears its ugly head after half an hour. Oh, dear, oh, dear. Okay, so that's an 8. Oh, that doesn't do anything at all. It plonks an 8 into one of those 3 squares. Is there a reason? No, 7 and 9, I just don't believe they're restricted. So the other digit in here, in this quadruple, is 7 or 9, depending on what this digit is. So hang on, are these squares? So there's some sort of 2, 5, 6 triple is there in this row. because whatever this digit isn't, yeah, these see 7 and 9, and they see another. They see 1, 3, 4, and 8. So these are from 2, 5, and 6. And there's a 2, 5, 6 triple, a 7, 9 pair, and an 8. So we haven't put 1, 3, and 4, which must be in these squares, in box number 2. So there's definitely a 1 in one of those squares. And from that we can deduce the following. There's no 5 in there, because the 5 in this 2, 5, 6 triple, the 5's up here. I don't know. It must be. Well, what's it going to be then? Is it something to do with down here? Can I do something with a 13 cage that doesn't have a 1 in it? I don't think so. It would, well, if it didn't have 1 or 2 in it, it would be a bit restricted. It would have to be 3, 4, 6, which it can't be, actually. Oh, goodness me. Right, so it's more Sudoku. Right, so what I've noticed is this 13 cage, it's not got a 1 in it. So the natural question is, does it not have 2 in it? Now, if it didn't have 2 in it either, it would, I think, have to be 3, 4, 6 as the only options. And this square would have to be Schrödinger, because it would have to be 3 and 4. So there is a 2 in this cage, which we can simply just write in, therefore. So that's 2, that's 6. It doesn't tell us, I don't think it tells us whether this is on the purple loop thing. Okay, but we can do we can do some Sudoku, look. So we've now got this pair down to being 2 and 5. Now, does that mean, yeah, this square is definitely not on the Rellik loop in this box, because whether this is 2 or 5, it will create a naughty combination in purple. If it's 2, we can add it to the 1 and the 3 and make 6. If it's 5, we'll add it to the 1 and make 6. So this square is grey, definitely. Which means that square is now on the loop. We know this can't be a 5, so it must extend to be 6. It can't be 7. So this is a corner. That can't be on the loop. We know this can't include 6, so that just becomes 6, and this square becomes 7, 9. And therefore, it has a bit of a magical quality, this. It really does. It's very, very... These don't include 6. I don't know why I've got 6 in... Oh, maybe it's from an earlier pencil mark. Okay. So what does this mean? If I close this loop here, what does that mean? I will then have a problem. No, I won't. No, I will. No, I might not have. Oh, hang on. I might have a problem. I might not. I can't work it out. I feel like that's a problem. Because, but maybe it's not. I've now got a 4-cell thingy in here, and I know one of these squares is a 1. So what do I pair it? I can't pair it with anything. It just doesn't work, because if I partner the 1 here with a 3, 1 and 3 add up to 4, which breaks this. If I don't partner it with a 3, I've just got 4, and 4 also breaks this. So that square is just grey. That comes down. That comes down. That can't join there anymore because it wouldn't work. So that comes down. This doesn't close this way because that would be a very tiny loop, and we've got to create one loop. So that comes down. This goes through this little gap. There's something going on in the middle box now. I don't know what that is. I don't know. Okay. I've got well, does that have to be a 4? I'm going to claim that that has to be a 4 actually, because that's a 3-cell relic thing. And if it's a 3, obviously that just breaks. But if it's a 1, I can add it to the 2 and get 3. So I think that's just a 4. Right, that does some work. That gets me 4, 3 and 1. Which, a pregnant pause while I work out what that means. Well, it means I know what these digits are in box 2. These are 3, 5 and 8. Oh, I was going to say that. Well, that can't be 3, definitely, because that is a 3-cell sequence. That one can be 3, because this is just a 2-cell sequence that's got no low digits in it. So I think these two are totally unrestricted. That 4 does some work. That's got to be 4. That's got to be 8. That's got to be 5 by sudoku. And right, okay, here is a little point to do with parity. There is a white dot in column 6. Well, if you think about any pair of consecutive digits, they will always have one odd digit and they will always have one even digit, and all of the even digits have been used up in column 6, so the 6 must be on here. Apart from 6, 2, 4 and 8 have gone. So in fact 5's gone, so that is a 6-7 pair, because the 6 can't partner 5. Now the rest of this column needs to be 1s, 3s and 6s. No, I've just said that. 1, 3 and 9? Is that right? 1, 3 and 9? Which I don't know what to do with that immediately. Sorry, just let me think about that. If that's a corner, that can't be a corner, can it? Because if that's a corner, then the next cell on the loop will be this, and that's a 4-cell sequence, and 1 and 3 will be within the ambit of this 6 cage. So 1 and 3 add up to 4, so that doesn't work. So that's grey. But what does this do? Oh, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think we might have to make an argument that says this can't. Oh no, it could do that. But if it, how do these not join up with some sort of alacrity? The only way would be if it did something like this. See, I just don't see it doesn't feel like there's a way for these two not to join up. I might be wrong about that, but that's certainly what I'm sensing. But I suppose even if they do have to join up, we don't know whether they join up in a 3 or join up in a 4. Right, come on, Simon. What does this all mean? Very unsure as well how I'm ever going to resolve this bottom part of the grid. If that... Okay, that square is not in the Rellik loop, because that creates a corner that's too naughty for words. If that's a corner of the loop does that, and you can see this. You get that little pattern there, which is impossible to fulfill without the loop branching. We can't go here because the loop will touch itself, so we have to go there, and that's not going to be permissible. So we can grey this cell. Okay, and again, that's actually quite a good way of thinking about this. Never create that pattern, or certainly not at a border. So this also can't be purple for the same reason. It's a corner of the loop and it's going to cause a 2 by 2 immediately to emerge. So that's also not on the loop. Okay. We could have got this far more obviously. What are those two digits? Those two digits cannot be 1, 2, 3 or 4. They are a 5, 6 pair. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's so obvious when you see it. So that's 7, 8, 9 triple in the remainder of column 1. But, so if that's on the loop, we get that pattern, which would be a 4-cell sequence. No, but why couldn't... No, we couldn't... oh, actually, no, we could have a 5-cell sequence as well. Actually, I'm not sure. These two are joined together, so one of these is definitely purple. Do I know what that black dot is? No, I don't think so. I wish I could... I wish I had some idea about how to work out how the loop moves through box 4. What am I meant to be appreciating? Is it where 4 goes in this box? I've got a 4 here after all. 5 is in one of those 3 cells. I mean... 6 is in one of those 3 cells. This is just clutching at straws, frankly. What would happen if this wasn't on the loop? That would break the world, because this would be a corner and create a 2 by 2. So that is on the loop. But that doesn't tell us... Well, no, it does. Oh, I see. It's much simpler. I'm being slow today, but never mind. Never mind. I'm actually having a blast. This is really, really cool. This puzzle, because look. Now, if we just move down here with the loop, that is a 3-cell segment that has a 1 and a 2 in it, which add up to 3. So it can't do that. It must turn. And now this can't be on the loop. None of those cells can be on the loop. In fact, none of the rest of this box can be on the loop. It creates impossibilities, a go-go. So we've got to do that. This square now mustn't be a naughty digit, by which I mean it mustn't make, well, it's not 3 or 4. That's okay. Let's pencil mark this square. So it could be 5, 7, 8, or 9. I think. That's disappointing. That's not the most restricted square in Christendom, is it? Okay. So it might be... Oh, I don't know. So what actually have we learned? Even though we've just worked out how the loop moves through box 4, which I couldn't see at all a moment ago. It's not really. It must be something to do with... I don't understand. I keep saying that, but I don't. I mean, is there an obvious reason why that's either possible or impossible? This is adding up to 4, so it couldn't contain 4, and it couldn't contain 1 and 3. So if it did do this, there would definitely be a 4 in one of those squares. There would actually be a 4 there in box 4 as a result of that. And then this sequence could contain 1 of 1 and 3, but not both. So actually these squares would be from 1, 3 and 4. But it certainly doesn't feel impossible. And the other alternative is that this is grey, which makes this a corner, and we'd have to do that. Ah, right. So here is... Right, the point is perhaps that these two always create a 4 in this box. It doesn't matter whether this goes here or whether it turns up. It will create a 4 in this box. So 4 is not on the loop in this box. And well, what does that mean? So these two don't include 4. So 4 is in one of those 3 squares. Let me mull this over, sorry. I don't think those 3 can be on the loop. Because if it does do, if it's exactly equal to those 3, then this digit would have to simultaneously be 1 of 1 and 3 and 4. So it would be sort of Schrödingered out of the world, and that's not going to work. So these 3 are not, this is not the way that box 7 completes its quota. Which means that box 7 completes its quota. Either, does it always have to take that square? Because it's either going up here and then there, or it's going in here and there. Yes, so that's always on the loop. Which means the 4 has now gushed. So we've pushed the 4 over into column 3, which means that that square is a 4. I tell you what, this is definitely, this doesn't feel like a 3-star puzzle. It could well be because I'm missing tricks left, right and centre. But if that sort of thinking is required here, it's quite tricky. Right. Now, so one of these is 4 and is off the loop. If it's that one, that forces this one. And that square would have to be 1 or 3. If it's that one, am I not running into the same problem if I don't use this 2? If I do, yeah, I think I am. If I go up to this square, it's very clear this has to be 4. And then I've got 1 and 3 in the loop here. Yeah, sorry, it's obvious again. It's obvious once you see it. So actually, I've got to use the 2 in order to create a degree of freedom, if you like, in terms of the unknowns. So these are from 1, 3 and 4. I can have 1 of 1 and 3 in here, but not both. And I definitely know there's a 4 in here. And then these are definitely off the loop. This is definitely on the loop, therefore. And actually, that's not done a dramatic... Has that done a lot for me or not? That square's not on the loop, because that's going to create one of these funny patterns that we can't have. Yeah, what's the extension of this? It can't be to here, and if it's to here, well, then this can't move anywhere. So that square's definitely grey, the middle cell of the grid. So this one either goes there, which would mean that has to go there, or it goes here. And then that one, I don't know what that does. At least I don't think I do. Can we force this square to stay in box 5 is a question that I feel, because that's to do with whether these two can join up, which is what I thought was happening before. If this one goes there, how does this do anything? It can't, no. I mean, that actually is that's perhaps the clearest way of seeing that we then have an enormous problem with this cell. Because what does it do? It clearly can't go here because that would be a corner and create a branching loop. If it goes there, these have touched one another, and we've got this sort of deadly triple pattern which can't exist in the puzzle, because the next move for this will either cause a branch or it'll cause an enormous problem. So this square is grey, which does mean, makes me want to do that. 6 perhaps. Is 6 restricted in this box now? But do we know the count on? Yeah, this one can't go here now because that creates this naughty pattern we've been trying to avoid. So that's grey. This comes down, and now if this goes, well, we've got to be really careful here. This is either a 3 going to here, which would have a real implication on these 2 digits, or it's a 4 going to there, which still has a bit of an implication for those digits. They couldn't be 1 and 3, but it would also put 4 into this position in the box. So this is 3 or 4. But if this was 3... Oh, that's it. That's it. It can't be 3. Yeah, it can't be 3. Because if this is 3, what 2 digits are we going to select these to be? They can't be a 1-2 pair. So they'd have to include a 3, and then that would also be the correct count. So that is as simple as that. This has to be a 4-cell sequence. Therefore, this is grey. That can't be on the loop, or the loop would touch itself here. So that's off the loop. This comes down here. This is a 4 sequence, so we get the 4 now in box 6. We get nothing here. We get these 2 digits now can't add up to 4, so they definitely have a 2 in them. They are not a 1-3 pair. That does the 2 and the 5 in box number 3. That's no longer able to be a 2. Now, what other naughty combinations could there be in that tetromino? Probably none, actually. Once there's a 2 in here and this is a 4, we're probably okay, because these digits are high now. Okay. What does that mean then? I don't know. Oh, what about this black dot? I thought about that earlier and couldn't do anything with it. I've thought about it again now and I still can't do anything with it. Bar humbug, Bobbins McBobbins face. Oh. What about... I don't know. If the loop is forced down here, so if that loop closes, this loop has to come down here and there, and then it can't join but it could do that, could it? It would be very forcing. What about if it closes here? And that's then a corner. Oh. Oh, wow. Okay, that is beautiful. I don't know if that's required, but I'm definitely going to show you that because that's beautiful. Right. Right. Where is 3 in this box? And the answer is I have virtually no Scooby-Doo, except it is not in those squares. So 3 is either in this, well, it's in one of these 6 squares. So let's ask whether the loop can go to here now. If the loop goes there, then hopefully you can see this has become a corner of the loop. It can't go up here anymore. So that's a corner, and the loop would go here, and we get a U tetromino, or we get a U pentomino of loop doing this. And it doesn't matter which one of these 6 cells is the 3, it breaks the puzzle. Because that is a Rellik 3 cage, that is a Rellik 3 cage, and there is 3 in one of them. That is, I don't know if I've ever seen that before. A digit could go in one of 6 cells, and yet it breaks the puzzle. That is, I don't think I can possibly have seen that before. I'm going to claim that is a unique deduction, an utterly unique deduction. A digit could go in one of 6 cells, and that is enough to break the puzzle. That's quite beautiful. Blackjackfitz, that is quite beautiful. So, what that does, well, let's actually leave the 3 pencil marks in. That cell is therefore grey. So this is therefore off the loop. The loop comes down here. Now, we... Yeah, okay. The loop doesn't close here, does it? Because if the loop closes here, that's a 7-cell sequence, and we've already thought about that in a couple of other boxes. So the loop is going down here. It's going down here. The loop can't close on the left-hand side, so that's grey. The loop closes here. Now none of those squares can be on the loop, or the loop would touch itself. So this loop comes all the way down here, and we've got an ambiguity of just 2 cells as to where the loop finishes. But what I was going to say before is, where is the 3 in box 5 is still the interesting question, isn't it? Because it cannot go in a segment that has size 3, so it's vertical. So this is 8. Whoops, that's 3. This is not 3. That is not, if this is a 3, that is a 3-cell segment. So this is a 3. That's not a 3. That might be useful. Don't know. There's a 3 in, whoops, there's a 3 in one of those 2 cells. If that was a 3, that would be a 3. That's impossible. Yeah, remember there's a 3 in one of these 2 squares in row 5. So actually, the way we could have got this more straightforwardly is I could have pencil marked a 3 into one of those squares in box 4, and that would have given me this without too much bother. 3 is in one of those. Now, we might have to be careful about other things as well. What? No, that was a bad question. That's not 3. So this, hang on, why is this a 1-4 pair then? Yeah, that is right, actually. I can't put the 1 down here anymore, because that's a 4-cell segment, and it would add up to 4. So that is not a 1. I think my earlier pencil marks sort of understood that in some manner. So these squares are 7, 8, and 9 now. That, oh, I thought that because it was giving me a triple in this column. It's not. Oh, I don't know what that means either. This is not 3, 6. I definitely think that is true. It's also not 4, 8, because this can be neither 4 nor 8. So this is either 1, no, it's not 1, 2. If that's a 1, 2 pair, the 1 and 2 add up to 3, and that's broken. So it's 2, 4, and we know the order. Okay, that's great. That's 4, that's 2, that's 4, that's 1. 4 is now in one of 2 cells. And we know the length of this, don't we? Because however it closes, it's a 5-cell sequence. So, what do we do with that? In fact, I can see. I've got. In fact, I'm going to get a 3 in the corner, I think, because what I've just noticed is, where is 2 in this box? There are actually 4 2s pointing at box 9, because we've got a 2 pencil marked here. So that's 2 in purple, which means they can't, because we've worked out this is a 5-cell sequence of some orientation. It can't have 3 in purple. So these 2 are not 3, and that's 3 in the corner. That's 3 in the spotlight, losing its religion. Look, all of this gets filled in. That's a 4. That is a 1. That's a 3. And that must be off the loop, mustn't it? So that's grey. This is on the loop. That's 4 by pencil marking. Now we can't put 1 in this sequence. So that's a 1. Which we might have been able to get a different way, but that's the way I saw it. Now, are there any other combinations here? 5. We can't put 5 into these squares, can we? So 5 has only got 1 cell to live in. So that's 5. These add up to 6. These add up to 13, not involving 4s and 5s. So that's a 6, 7 pair. So these are an 8, 9 pair. And we can do it. That's 9, that's 8, that's 7, that's 9. This column hasn't got an 8 in it. Let's plonk that in. This column needs 5 and 6 in it, which we can't do, but we'll put the pencil marks in. These squares are a 7, 9 pair. This 1 is doing some things over on this side, so that's 1, that's 2. 1 is in one of those 2 squares. 2 is here by Sudoku. How many 2s have we got? Oh, all of them. Can't put 1 here. That one's 1 and 2 add up to 3 still, and that wouldn't work. So that's 1. That's 9, and therefore, oh come on, Simon. 3s. Well, how about 3s? We have nearly. Oh no, we do. We do have an X-swing on 3s left. That doesn't look terribly resolved. There's a 6, 7 pair there, so that's an 8. Which apparently doesn't do enough. Though the 9 there does some work. 9 and 7. Yes, 9 and 7 go in. That becomes an 8, 7 pair, which we can resolve by Sudoku. So we can take 7 out of these squares. We get left with a 9, 6 here. That digit is a 9. That's a 9, that's a 7. I want to say that's a 9. That seems to be the implication of Sudoku now. That's 9, that's 9, that's 6, that's 3. This column has not had 5 and 7 in it, so we can put 7 here, and 5 here, and 5 here, and 6 here, and 7 and 6, and 7 and 6, and 5 and something. Nah. Is this a 7, 8? No, that is just a 7. That's a 5. That should be gettable now. That is a 3. No, that's just unwinding the X-swing that we'd already done. So that's 8. That's 6. That's 6 as well. And these are 5 and 7, which is all. I think it's all getting resolved, isn't it? So this is 1 and 8. I've just realised I said that with only 2 digits left. I didn't realise. And that is probably the puzzle solution. Let's see. Oh no, I've messed it up. I've got far too many 7s in the world. Oh dear, oh dear. What did I do the maths wrong here? No. But something's awry. This 7, that feels like. Oh no, I don't know actually. This could be a bad problem. What does that want to be? Or maybe this 6 and 7 were the wrong way round. Because if that was... No, I don't... Well, maybe. If that was 6 and 7 were the other way round, what would that become? Maybe that would unwind it in a different way. That would make sense. Bother. Okay, we better... Oh. Okay, I'm not sure how far back... Oh, hang on. Why have I put 7 in that square? That's definitely not a valid digit. Oh, but it has to be from the row. Yeah, okay, I'm going to go back a bit further then. When did we do the 6 and the 7 there? Is that really what I did? Oh my goodness. That is so bad. Look at what I did. I saw the 7 here and I wrote 7 there. I'm reasonably pleased with the fact that I spotted that the 6 and 7 could be the other way round. What an absolute doofus. Anyway, my apologies to blackjackfitz for an execrable piece of Sudoku solving there. Right, these are 5 and 6, which is probably now not resolved, is it? Although I have got a 5-6 pair. That I'm going to use the X-wing on the 3s. That seems to have to be an 8. That digit is under immense pressure, so the 5 and the 6 go in, the 5 and the 6 go in, and we've arrived at a sort of different place, but hopefully with a better conclusion. Let's see if that's right. Yes. Oh dear, that was almost a bad ricket at the end, but that is a brilliant puzzle. What a debut. I mean, 3 stars, taking me over an hour. Well, I mean, maybe? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not sure I agree with that. I thought that was quite hard. There were many points at which I felt I was a bit slow, having said that. However, there were also moments. You have to establish you can't have 7 cells in a Rellik loop. That's not that complicated. That's definitely a 2 or a 3 star deduction. But actually the 3 thing, which was my favourite bit in this box, that's so beautiful. I mean that's. But the thing is, there might have been a simpler way of doing that. If that's necessary, I thought that was definitely quite tricky. I also found the resolution. But yeah, again, I had the feeling as I was doing this box that there was a simpler way of showing A, that this had to take 4 digits, and B, that which digits were off the Rellik loop. Yeah, so it's probably my there probably just were slightly better ways of doing it at various junctures. But what I can tell you is, whatever the rating is in terms of its difficulty, it is a very, very good Sudoku puzzle. Really quality. And I really enjoyed doing it. So thank you very much if you're still watching. I do appreciate it. And we'll be back later. Or actually drop a comment in. Let blackjackfitz have some love, please. And we'll be back later with another edition of Cracking the Cryptic.